Freak Nation, as I promised, we're going to go straight to the source to figure out what happened with the NHRA over the weekend. Of course, there was lots of weather. This whole freaking river extravaganza, stream, flow, whatever the hell they're calling it.
Atmospheric river
that stopped on top of stopped on top of freaking Pomona, it looks like, and dumped record numbers of rain over the track. President, NHRA, good friend of the Freak Nation, Glen Cromwell, joins us here in the Freak Nation, and we thought we'd go, as I said, straight to the source and figure out what the hell happened here. As a person that wasn't at this event, Glen Cromwell, I'm with the thousands of others on social media and going, what the hell? What were there any contingencies? What were the options? Did you exhaust all your options? Help me out here as a drag racing fan of why you canceled the finals.
Yeah, Kenny, it's a tough decision, as you can imagine. One that we really wanted to see the event, as everybody did, run on the racetrack, and nobody wins. Our fans were great; they stuck it out as long as they could. But I've been with the NHRA for 28 years. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, we had rain come in Friday, and it never lit up, and it continued to go all the way through today. Forecast for tomorrow does not look good. Tuesday, not much better. Wednesday was probably the closest thing that we had, and there's no guarantees. We're looking at the weather long term. There's a front coming in Thursday, Friday, and we exhausted everything we could do today. We thought we were going to have a window to race, and it started to dry up for about 2 hours. Our safety safari did a great job, got on the track, and started to dry it. We realized that over the last 2 days, so much water got underneath the rubber there on the concrete. We had to scrape that, and we started to do it. And the other thing that a lot of people don't quite understand is the cool temperatures. Not only was it rain and it's wet, but it's cool. And when you have, 11,000, 12,000 horsepower cars, it's not like we have rain tires. You have to make sure that you put them down the racetrack and they're safe. And that's our job. NHRA is to make sure that we take care of our drivers and make sure that we give them a racetrack that's going to be safe. And we felt that we could not do that with the elements that were around us and the elements that were coming. And we threw everything, we had contingency programs. I mean, we were here Friday, we were here Saturday, we were Sunday. There is a point that, the teams are here. How long can you get the teams to stay? And we sat down with PRO this morning, NHRA and PRO, which is the Professional Racer Organization, along with our pro stock leaders, Elite and KB, Greg Anderson and Richard Freeman, along with our professional motorcycle team leaders there. And we walked it through, and we came to a joint decision that that track was not going to be safe. And we did not think it would be safe tomorrow or Tuesday and beyond. And we surely did not think we were going to get a track today. I think what a lot of people don't quite understand is that, though it's maybe dry for 2 hours, you have to dry it. You got to peel that rubber up. You got to put it back down. And then you hope that the weather is warm enough that you can put these cars down that racetrack. And our experts, Josh Peterson, Jeff Conley, just did not feel comfortable with it. So we made a decision. I made a decision that is in the best interest where we are today. And we decided to call it. And I believe it was the right decision, as it is still raining out here in Pomona. So
NHRA President Glen Cromwell joining SpeedFreaks Radio on a Sunday night and SpeedFreaks TV on the Racer Network on Monday. Glenn, when were these discussions with your driver groups, potentially with Fox, or just internally with the NHRA? When did they begin? As this was forecast from, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday in the week, when did you start to say, hey, we need to start looking at backup plans with your group and potentially moving to a different track? Was that even feasible?
we talked about that. I mean, here's the tough thing. You know, we started talking about it on Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay.
You know, obviously we made a decision to run our Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series categories on Thursday, and that was a great decision. We were able to finish all those categories except for alcohol dragster and alcohol funny car. We were able to crown the champions on Thursday, and you know, we looked at the following weekend. We looked at other tracks. Here's the thing you don't know. You don't know what the weather forecast is going to be 7, 10, 12 days out. And you can double down. You know, we talked about going next weekend. One of the challenges that we had with Fox in our mobile unit was not available. It was not available after Wednesday of this week. In fact, that mobile unit is on its way to Copper Mountain for a committed ski event, and that we could not find another mobile unit available to us for next weekend. And plus, you don't know what next weekend's going to be. You know, to have the teams go back home, come back out with the uncertainty of what next weekend's going to be in Southern California, Phoenix, Las Vegas. We talked about all of them. And that's the challenge when you have a outdoor event, is the uncertainty of what the forecast is going to be.
Glen Cromwell, President, NHRA, joining the Freaks. And Glenn, again, outside looking in, do you think transparency would have helped as you're having these discussions on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like this could happen? Or is that counterproductive to the fan base?
Well, I think, you know, the thing is, could have we communicated better? Maybe. I think what we don't know is we were hoping for windows to open up. I mean, I've seen it. I live here. I've seen a forecast of rain, and it goes around Pomona, and you find a window of 10, 12, 24 hours. And we had to make sure that we gave ourselves an opportunity to fit that into the window. Unfortunately, this one did not. It didn't give us that opportunity. It just continued to rain 24/7, and then the temperatures started to drop. So
that's essentially, rain is one thing, but from what I'm picking up from you, it's the temperatures that really, really hurt any of these efforts to try to get this race going.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that people probably don't understand. And to Kenny's point, could we shared that, on Friday, Saturday, maybe, always hindsight, looking back, we need to do things, always looking to do things better and make sure that we communicate with our fans as well as we can. But, when you're putting 11 to 12,000 horsepower on a racetrack and it's cold, I mean, that's dangerous. That's extremely dangerous. And, we work with our race teams closely. We try to shoot for about 70 degrees track temp. And that's pretty cold right there. But if we could get there, that was something we talked about. But when it's 52, 54 degrees air temperature, it's pretty hard to get 70 degrees into that track. And, obviously the rubber started to come up. We were hoping that the rubber on the concrete, people probably don't realize, obviously, the track is out to about 600-700 foot concrete, and it goes into asphalt. We put rubber on top of that. Obviously, by doing so, that gives the best traction for these high-powered teams. The problem is when it rains for 24, 48 hours, that water starts to get underneath that rubber, and it starts to peel up. And that's what happened this morning when we got to the track, and it started, the rain lit up for a couple hours, it started to peel that rubber up. We would have had to dry the track, basically scrape the entire concrete of 600, 700 feet, lay down new rubber, and that would have taken us about 4 to 5 hours to do. And that would have put us probably closer to 4:35, maybe 5:30 tonight. And that's if everything stayed dry. And if that did, then you would have had the temperatures dropping on us. And that would have been a major concern for us. So we all sat and discussed that this morning and came up with the best solution that it was time to, we gave it our best shot, to have fans come back Monday, they work, they have jobs, come back Tuesday. I mean, you don't know. To have our race teams continue to rebook airfare, rebook hotels, extend their rental cars. I mean, all this adds up on our teams and our stakeholders. And I felt that it was in the best decision to move forward, to call it and crown our champions and move forward and look forward to 2026, which will be a great year, and celebrating our 75th anniversary.
I want to ask about how some of the drivers' input influenced your guys' decision. I know you said you talked to Greg Anderson and he was vying for the title. He maybe could have done so in a final day. Brittany Force maybe moving from third to second. But that's another story. We can talk about that through the offseason. Right now, there's the issue of optics. How do you get out in front of the storyline now going into the offseason that unfortunately the season did not end the way that everybody would have liked for it to? How do you recreate the narrative in keeping NHRA top of mind in a positive way?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, how do you do that in a bad switch situation like we had this weekend? And at the end of the day, Crash, I would come back, and ultimately it comes back to safety. We and I think all of our fans realize, they come out, they want to watch these cars go 340 miles an hour. But the one thing that the NHRA, well, there's many things that we're responsible for, but number one, and that's the safety of our drivers, and to make sure that we keep them safe. And we're going to do that. I think, as you look at what our optics are, that's a tough one. But I think our fans who have watched the NHRA know that it's important that we put on a good show, a safe show, and make sure that we don't want to see people crashing, and that's our job. And it's something that we sat and talked to the drivers. You brought this up. Did we talk to Greg Anderson? We talked to them all. Every single one of them agreed with this decision. Wow. Even Tony Stewart, who probably, if you look at it, you talk about Greg Anderson, right? Greg Anderson, obviously Dallas Glenn, KB team. You had the Vance and Hines teams. Probably the toughest was Tony Stewart. Matt Hagan, he wasn't out of it. He had a chance to come back on Austin Prock. It's a big deal. And we want to see that done on the track. We may get no joy out of this decision. And the only thing I would ask is our fans, understand that we are keeping our drivers safe. And that's the most important thing that you can do in motorsports, because it's different. Motorsports is different than any other sport. Mm-hmm. Our drivers are putting their life on their line out there. Their families are there. And you know what? They put it on NHRA to make sure that we make good decisions. And I believe this is the right decision. And, I will hope our fans understand that. And obviously we've got a big year coming out next year. And please join us. I mean, anyone that had a ticket this past weekend can take that ticket and use that for the Winter Nationals of the final. It's the same value. We have a great return policy where you can take that ticket, and that value of that ticket is cash. So you can use that for next year's event.
I will admit, when I first heard this, I did a knee-jerk reaction on social media because I didn't like it. But this is why we are having you on to discuss the behind-the-scenes discussions that were going on. And this now makes so much more sense to me because you're right. Had the race gone on in uncomfortable position, in uncomfortable weather and track conditions, things could have been so much worse. And we would have been talking about another type of story into the offseason. So listening to you, this is good. Thank you.
And the other thing is, listen, you have championships on the line, right? You want to give them the best track possible. And I'm not sure they'd be racing for championships on the best track.
Oh, wow.
Right? I mean, you think about we'd prep it, but it'd be cold. You want to give them the best track possible. And we just did not feel with the environment that was around us, with the weather, that was going to be a big challenge. Big challenge.
Glen Cromwell, NHRA President, joining us here in the Freak Nation, setting the record straight, Freak Nation. I urge you to listen to this entire interview. He certainly has cleared some things up for us, Freak Nation, and many of you on social media. And he's not, I'm speaking for you, but he's not discounting your view, Freak Nation. It's just he's clearing things up about why not move the banquet? They'd be out of $500,000, all of this stuff. But ultimately, it comes down to the safety of the drivers. And one thing that I like what you heard, and I believe you on this, Glenn, that every one of those drivers, especially the ones vying for a championship, agreed with this decision.
Yeah.
Calmer, cooler heads prevail. The danger, the issues that could have happened on the track, you've helped me turn the other cheek on this one.
Right. And listen, I think that's what people don't understand. I think the transparency maybe could have been a little better with our fans. I don't disagree, but our transparency and openness with our drivers was very good this weekend. And, we met all of them, every single one of them. And they gave their input. And when we called it, they all agreed. We went over and talked to Matt Hagan, myself, and some of the leadership teams. We went over there and talked to him, and we said this isn't the way we wanted to end. And he wanted to fight for the championship on the track, but he fully understood the situation we were up against. And I just think I think that's the important thing. That the NHRA today is working much closer with the race teams. Communicating. I think the transparency is there. Do we need to get better with our fans? Absolutely. Our fans are so important to us. And we need to be open, but listen, we were hoping that we'd get a window on Friday and Saturday. We thought we were going to get a chance to race. And this is a storm that I've been here for 28 years. I haven't seen anything like this in my life here in Southern California.
And also, you said you looked at Monday, you looked at Tuesday, you looked at Wednesday. The banquet wasn't your only thing saying we can't go past the banquet. Yes, you looked at it. You could.
Listen, the banquet, let me say, it's important. It's great. When you put things and you prioritize it, the banquet, the most important thing is the safety of our drivers. That's it. That's it. Everything else falls behind. It's the safety of the drivers. Our fans are important. We want them to be there. We want to see the greatest athletes going 340 miles an hour. We want them there, but we've got to do it in the safest manner we can. And that was the banquet had nothing to do with the decision of what we did. And we were fine. I mean, we talked about moving on and maybe doing it in TEC if we had to, right? We were fine. I mean, we were looking at every option if we could even, if it was clear on Monday, if it was clear and it had to warm up, we were willing. We'd race and we'd do it in TEC, but that it's just the forecast for Monday, Tuesday is not there. And there's a point you continue to keep these teams will start going home. How long can these teams, people forget, how long can these teams stand here? Some of them have other jobs, other commitments. They're running on budgets just like everybody else. A race team is a business and they're running on budgets, and they've got staff, they got people, and there's no guarantees. I mean, I tell you, Thursday, Friday of next week started to get worse. You know, we started to see rain, and what happens if that rolls into Wednesday? So,
well, I think we agree on one thing: better transparency. I think we learned from that there, Glen Cromwell. I'm not putting words in the mouth. You actually said that at Freak Nation. I'm not putting words in his mouth. But as you see over my shoulder, my right shoulder, there's a 50th anniversary NHRA flag over my shoulder. And I don't know if you've come across a group of folks in the media that have, you know, pushed the NHRA harder than us and that have actually tried to really just blow up the personalities and have some fun with your series. And now we're coming up on 75 years, and we're not going to have a force, at least for now, going into 2026, driving a professional race car. You ready for that?
we are, you know, I mean, I think we have a lot of athletes and drivers and superstars that are going to step up. But, you know, John Force, amazing. Definitely the GOAT. I mean, the guy, 16-time champion. He needs, I'm glad he made the decision, and it's the right decision for him and his family and his wife. And, but listen, people, he may not be racing down the track, but he's going to be at our events. He's going to have race teams. He's going to be a team owner. And I will tell you, and we have been working on it prior to his announcement this past weekend. We are, and I'm giving you a little sneak preview, and I can't give you all the details. I got to wait a couple months, but we are working on a big, big celebration of John Force in 2027. So we've been working on it. We'll celebrate our 75th anniversary in 2026, and some big announcements around John Force for 2027. So,
oh wow,
and
okay.
What I like about that, let the 75th anniversary live on its own, and then the next year, let's celebrate the greatest drag racer and one of the greatest personalities in all of sports for a full year, right?
You got it.
Yep.
And more details to come.
Well, Glen Cromwell, if I look over your shoulder there, over your left shoulder, life is better when you're laughing, my friend. There you go. There's the laugh. There's the laugh.
Listen, it's a tough one. It's a tough one for me to laugh and be, because I know people are not happy. Our fans aren't happy, and that's our job. Our job is to, make a great. We're in the entertainment business, right? Mm-hmm. And this is tough. This is a tough day for everybody. I'm happy for our champions, but this is a tough day. And you know what? We're going to pick up. We're going to move on, and we're going to look forward to 2026, and then some exciting stuff even after that in 2027.